Hey, how's it going, guys? This is your boy Hazzed, and today you guys requested that I do a top 5 healer video. So we're going to do that involving PvP, of course. Basically, the way I did this video was I listed it off of the top 5 hardest I've found hard to kill, and I've played, of course, quite a few different classes, quite a few of the Mongoloid Bursty classes, and I've really found some of them kind of stick out above the others. So let's go ahead and jump into this and discuss it, guys. The number 5 spot is going to go to Disc Priest, guys. Now, why Disc Priest? Of course, they got some nice shields on them. They got a few little healing abilities, of course, they can use while moving and using LOS, which is going to be one of the big things in it, that this class can utilize LOS pretty well and stay alive, which is going to be a huge, huge thing for healers when it comes to Legion, of course. As far as Mind Control, which is generally a pretty strong CC to use within the arena, especially with the amount of burst. If you can time coordinate that quite well, it's going to end up being devastating. And of course, they have like a 30-second Psychic Scream, which is absolutely great for like 3 situations. As far as defenses go, I mean, they're a healer, so obviously they have quite a bit of defenses. And of course, they still have Pain Suppression. Pain Suppression is OP, guys. If you time Pain Suppression correctly, you can basically get rid of anyone's burst and not take very much damage from it. So all in all, I'd have to say this class is pretty strong. Kind of well-rounded when it comes to dealing damage and pressure, but I'd have to say the class comes in at number 5, just based around all-around cooldowns for survivability. It was kind of a toss-up between Disc Priest and Resto Druid when it came to number 5, and we kind of decided on Disc Priest just purely because a lot of the Resto Druids I've came across, I think except for maybe one, have been just people we've blown up. They haven't utilized kiting well, they didn't shift out of things, and it really just ended up really hairy for the Resto Druid. But I can imagine once they buff healing, since Resto Druid is just based off of, I'd say, like pure healing dots, that they're going to be a bit stronger. So let's move on to number 4. Number 4 is going to go to Resto Shamans, guys. Now, why Resto Shamans? Resto Shamans have a pretty good amount of healing they can deal, of course, why they're LOS, as well as have quite a few hard casting abilities. Now, what's going to give Shaman the number 4 spot is definitely going to be the use of all the totems, and the fact that they can preset a lot of these totems to actually help defend the Shaman, of course, while they're getting CC'd, stunned, and of course, all the above. Now, Shamans also do have some major cooldowns. They can use Ascendance, they could also use Spirit Walking Grace to heal while they're moving, and of course, the best defensive totem they have probably has to be Counter-Strike Totem, which Counter-Strike Totem, put in the right spot, of course, can be extremely devastating to any team in any arena situation, especially if they're 2 Mongoloid classes going after a Resto Shaman, and they both burst off on him as hard as possible, while both the other 2 DPS on the other team are hitting a DPS. You can imagine there's no possible way to out DPS or out heal 3 DPS basically hitting one single target like that, full on damage. And of course, while they're trying to kite away, their healer's probably trying to catch up while they're chasing the Shaman, and it just ends really bad for all the DPS involved on the other team. So that's why Shamans are going to come in at number 4. Number 3 is going to go to Holy Priest. Now, I'd have to say, out of all the casters that I've tried, I'd say Holy Priest definitely has some of the strongest hard healing abilities compared to the other classes, and of course they have a couple dots. As far as AoE heals, I'd say priests are pretty good in that, also Holy Priest. But as far as damage, I'd have to say Holy Priests are actually slightly lacking in damage compared to the other classes, which is one of the reasons that makes this class only fall in at number 3. As far as CCs, I'd have to say Holy Priests don't nearly have as much CC as these other classes, these top 2, I'd have to say. But far in all, I believe Holy Priests are probably one of the most popular picks when it comes to some kind of healer in Arena right now. Now remember, there's going to be a bit of a dynamic change when it comes to buffing the classes by another 30% when they come to fixing that artifact little nerf right there. So I can imagine some of the other classes that may not be strong right now may be stronger in the future because it's going to make up for some of their weak legs. But let's go ahead and jump over to number 2. Number 2 is going to go to Mistweavers, guys. Now, Mistweavers have an okay amount of healing. High amounts of burst can kind of be dangerous to Mistweavers for the most part, but I'd have to say that their mobility as well as their self-survival is pretty high. Now, their life cocoon, it looks like, is up to 3 minutes. Maybe there's something in honor talents that makes that smaller. I'm hoping it might. But yeah, reduce the cooldown of life cocoon by 90 seconds. Yeah, there it is. So you can take about, half that, about a minute and a half. That'll actually counter a lot of 2-minute burst cooldowns, I'd have to say, which is pretty nice. Of course, that's just like a basically bubble save me, which is absolutely amazing. I've bursted through it a few times, but I can imagine once they rebuff healers that it won't be that easy. Oh, we fell in the water there. The other reason this class is number 2 on this list is for the high amount of CC. As you guys know, Mistweavers are one of the best aggressive classes to play with any kind of Mongoloid comp, and being that a lot of double DPS and a lot of double melee classes are going to be probably the teams a lot of people are going to want to play just for the pure strength. I can imagine Mistweavers are going to be high on the priority list just based on what they can do. Now, the other really cool thing about Mistweavers is just based upon their porting alone. Of course, you had DPS on you, you're running away, you're LOS behind this pillar right here, this little tiny pillar. We're a midget, so we can hide behind it. This little pillar right here, and basically what we can do, of course, they jump down here, they're going to kill us, and we portal back up. You basically wasted both classes' cooldowns. You got completely away from them. You can run around over here, stand behind the pillar and heal back up. So just based on mechanics alone, I'd have to say Mistweavers are going to fall into the second spot, because a lot of teams are, of course, going to play that counter burst, or just play that hard Mongoloid burst comp, I'd say this season. It seems pretty popular. And really just mitigating that gnarly burst is going to be one of the most important things in Arena at the moment, until everything gets kind of tweaked out. So that's why Mistweavers, of course, are going to come in at number 2. So let's go ahead and talk about number 1. Number 1 on our list is going to go to Holy Paladins, guys. Now, why Holy Paladins? Well, of course, they have a bubble. I mean, that alone makes them extremely powerful, especially what I just told you about Mongoloid comps, extremely high burst. A bubble becomes very, very effective against those comps, especially as a Holy Paladin. Since Holy Paladins, of course, they get Forbearance. And of course, after Forbearance, they can throw up Blessing of Protection, which is kind of like another minor bubble. So basically, in a small amount of time, they could actually counter 2 major bursts and still live through it. And of course, it only counters melee, that one. But that's okay. I mean, that's still enough to make it so your character doesn't die, obviously. Now, the other things that really make this class great, of course, is its ability to have a lot of mobility, the ability to put that mobility on other classes, and of course, they have a small amount of CC. Now, what makes the Holy Paladin really rise above the Mistweaver is the raw damage a Holy Paladin can pump out. Holy Paladin right now, honestly, its damage is just behind some of the DPS, which is just absolutely wild, the fact they can pump out that much. I've seen Holy Paladins going in threes and basically pumping out, I'd say, 2/3 of the damage of even good DPS when they're allowed to go that aggressive and blow something up. As again, you've always known Holy Paladins to be kind of one of the Mongoloid casters, definitely, out of the group compared to a lot of other healers, I'd have to say, because of course they got bubbles so they can run in and hit something and get out before they really fall into some trouble. And then, of course, from there, they can go ahead and heal, of course, quite a bit from range, which isn't bad. The thing that they're susceptible to, of course, is major CCs without utilization of LOS, which Holy Paladins, of course, when they're not going offensive or they need to be damaging something, they're going to be needing to use that LOS. I'm not even sure what's happening here. Why does this hunter have a million skeletal guards? I don't know. I'm not really sure what we're looking at here, guys. This might be a bug. And yeah. Wow, would you look at that? Okay, moving on now. Yeah. But definitely Holy Paladins are going to take the top spot just on pure damage alone. They hit pretty hard. They hit really hard, to tell you the truth. They've got a counter burst and they've got some insane healing, guys. Now, that's going to be it for the top 5 healing video. And remember, again, guys, this was based off of the top 5 classes that I found hard to kill in PvP with healing. And until next time, remember to leave a like, guys. This was your boy Hazzed.